tonight. Scales on the slab, slow as a prayer. It dragged through the dark with the chain on its stare. Leviathan is coming. Leviathan is coming. Out of the lair and into the light. Leviathan is coming. Lorain, you better hold tight, hold tight, hold tight.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the premiere of the Lair, the official Lorain County Leviathan FC podcast. I'm Ethan Greenberg, and alongside of me is my co-host, Drew Hagenbaugh. We are part of the LAN Multimedia Group, and this is brought to you by Dick's House of Sport. Be sure to check out Dick's House of Sport in Strongsville. Drew, how are you this evening, sir?
Doing great, man. It's the premiere of what's going to be a great podcast and a great season of Lorain County Leviathan soccer. Also, quick shout out to all the mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day as we're recording this on Mother's Day.
Yes, thank you very much, Drew. You took the words right out of my mouth. Again, thank you for those of you tuning in tonight. Again, I know it's Mother's Day. So even if you're watching us later, happy Mother's Day. You know, to all the mothers out there, word to your mother. This is going to be a great show. Again, Lorain County Leviathan FC, their inaugural season as part of the USL 2, which is in, and they are part of the Great Forest Division. They'll be playing at Forefront Field, and the season opener is May 20th at Steel City FC against the Pittsburgh team. Boo.
Boo.
With the home opener, what better way to spend Memorial Day than catching a Lorain County Leviathan FC game, as they will take on FC Buffalo at 3 p.m. tonight. This is going to be a great program for you, and we have a very special guest joining us here this evening on the premiere of the Lair is one of the owners, the chairman for Lorain County Leviathan FC, Andrew McDonnell. Want to welcome in Andrew McDonnell. Thank you very much. How are you this evening, sir?
Ethan, Drew, I'm great. Happy Mother's Day to all of the Leviathan mothers, but none of the Pittsburgh or FC Buffalo moms. Sorry.
No, hey. It's all good up in here. We're Cleveland all through and through. We're not going to have that. It is all good. I'm going to have to work. We'll get to it later. We're Spurs fans, but we're going to need to also incorporate the Inverness, thing going on here sometime soon. But Andrew, thank you so much for being with us here this evening. Hopefully we didn't take you away from any Mother's Day activities. We do appreciate your time. So I wanted to just have a chance to let the fans know who you are, about the team, so on and so forth. How did you become interested in soccer? I mean, it's growing in Cleveland. What's your background? Tell us a little bit about that.
So it's interesting. We're doing a bunch of videos of all of our players, and they keep on saying that they started playing when they were 3 or 4 or 8 years old, and I kind of like topped out when I was 8 years old. Like that was my pinnacle. Like I made a travel team. Right as these guys that are playing now were kind of like, hey, this game looks cool. Like that was my peak. Just always had a love of the sport. I did play it, all through my youth. Been following it in the background, and really just kind of, had the opportunity to, connect with Nick Turchin, who owns the Akron City team, and, bring something here to Lorain County. And that's kind of my history with soccer is just, youth, nothing beyond that. So,
well, now that you've started to kind of pick up on that, have you been paying a much closer attention to soccer internationally? Have you been following, I mean, obviously the soccer, the USL 2 teams, including Akron City FC and its Cleveland Force FC, also who you will be playing against. We'll get to them a little bit later in the rivalry. Have you really started to kind of follow along and get more in tune with that sort of thing?
Yeah, the first thing I've done is that my 3-year-old sees the Premier League on every Saturday morning and actually calls it football. So I've established that, language that the 3-year-old does not know what soccer is. But no, I'm following your favorite team, Tottenham, kind of teeter on relegation. But as we kind of learn more about the Leviathan, I probably know way too much about international soccer than I should. So we obviously made a deal with a team in Scotland, just recently closed with a team in India, which has over 1 billion potential superstars out there. And then we're heading over to either Australia or New Zealand, with an announcement next week. So yeah, I've started to follow all the different levels of international soccer, and as we're signing players and getting them released from their international contracts. We brought in guys from South Korea, I just picked up a guy from the airport today from the Bahamas. So kind of learning all of these different leagues. So I've kind of become the master of international soccer. To answer your question briefly.
No, that's fantastic. That's the beauty of if you ask a question a certain way, then it leaves it open for all kinds of extended answers there. I was looking at the roster, and it is definitely it is spreads the globe. It's vast. It's not everybody from Ohio when you start really peppering in these international players, which is awesome, which is just awesome. So again, as I mentioned a little bit earlier before we came on, wanted people to understand a little bit more about the team name, et cetera, et cetera. You probably have shared this other places. I know you talked to Drew not too long ago at the Greeny Sports Cards event, which is fantastic, and that was awesome. But for those of you those people who didn't get a chance to catch that, what can you kind of give us as the background story to the team name and origin, so that when people say, they know what to associate it with, and as they get ramped up and excited for the season?
Yeah. So the number one thing you'll see about our name is that it's Lorain County. Okay, so obviously that is a very traditional name when it comes to National League, Premier League teams across across the ocean there. But that was my number one goal, was that this was going to be Lorain County's team. So quick background on that: 313,000 residents in the county, 9th largest county in the state, the fastest growing with an actual positive growth rate over the last 10 years. But no sports teams that are truly their own, that don't just kind of rock the Lorain County. So that was the number one thing. From there, I really didn't care, what the name was going to be. So we did do a fan vote. Prior to the fan vote, what we did was just, we wanted it to somehow, touch Lorain County's history. So what does a giant sea dragon have to do with Lorain County? Well, let's go through the other three first. We had the Lorain County Blast, which was going to be a reference to the blast furnaces, which was using like a mad ball that was being ejected from a steel furnace. We had the Quarrymen, because the largest quarries in the world at one time were in Amherst. I keep on forgetting what the right type of rock was, so I'm just going to say rock quarry, but it was very specific. I've been corrected a few times on that. And then, my personal favorite was Lorain County FC, but that one was only because it was a farmer, a steel worker, and like a ship's captain that were all kind of merged into one logo. And then Leviathan. So Leviathan is kind of our take on the Lake Erie monster, Bessie. In our version, you can see, he's coming out of the waves there, cresting over the lighthouse. And we actually created a backstory for him, that he was, an English, lad from Liverpool. He grew up on the docks of Liverpool. He grew up, cheering at Anfield. Met a Lorain County female who was traveling abroad. Her name was Caroline. We'll get to that later. Followed her back to Lorain County. Realized it was just like Liverpool. Ships being built. Lake culture. So he just fell in love with it. Unfortunately, he went out, on the lake during a storm to rescue some folks. Was taken down by the storm, but then reemerged as the Leviathan. So that's kind of, our story of, who this kind of evil dragon is. But for those under the age of 12, we do have a baby Leviathan, who's a much cuter version. That's also, available for your favorite merchandise purchases. But, that's kind of the three names. So it went to a countywide or probably nationwide fan vote, and Leviathan was the clear, it wasn't even really close winner. But the voters got it right because out of 25 USL2 teams, we got into they had a national logo contest and we finished second. So, obviously it was very popular here locally, but then also very popular nationally. We defeated a lot of experienced teams that had 5 or 6 years of fan bases. We were coming out 6 weeks in and finishing second nationally. So, obviously very, very popular logo, but then also, good history tied back to the county.
That is great. And if there is one thing that the Northeast Ohio, Cleveland area does, it is get out and vote and support their teams and their players. And gosh darn it, we will put Peyton Hillis on the cover of Madden.
Right. Please
don't ever question the fans' fervor and their support and love for the team.
Now that you've referenced Peyton Hillis, though, I'm so glad that we finished second because he peaked on the cover of that Madden.
Yes, the Madden curse. The Madden curse right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So your relationship with Inverness in Scotland, and they're getting promoted to the top level league in Scotland. But just talk to us, how did that come about?
So USL2 is kind of a really unique kind of league. 69 players from USL2 got drafted into MLS. If you watched FC Dallas over the weekend, or you've tuned into any MLS highlight, you saw Sam Sarber go 85 yards to the house, essentially took a corner kick and got a breakaway and scored, on a one-on-one goal. But he played at Akron City in USL2 just 2 years ago. So now he's scored 2 goals in the last 2 weeks. He's probably the MLS Player of the Week. So it's a very short jump from Lorain County to Columbus Crew. I mean, literally, you could be playing on our team, this year and playing on the Crew next year. But what happened was Inverness, to their credit, and also these clubs in India and New Zealand, they realized that the players that are coming into Lorain County are also one step away from MLS level. So what they're teaming up with us is not only are they kind of Loch Ness, which is Nessie, and we're Bessie. So we've got like a cute little social media thing going on there. But they want to tie into potential talent that's coming through our program and, potentially sign them, over to the Scottish Championship, because that is quite MLS would probably correlate over to the English Championship. So the Scottish Championship would probably be about a league below that. So if 69 players from USL2 can play in MLS, that's also 69 players that would be very competitive in the Scottish Championship. So they were very smart to kind of, start looking over here and kind of coming to us as a AAA team. And then, their fans have been, just amazing supporters. And, our fans, if you were new to football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, to jump into a race that Inverness was in, where it was week in, week out for promotion, you got to learn a lot about the English football pyramid, in a 1 month span. And I just saw one of the listeners pop up. Inverness won that division and started out -5 due to some financial things they had to go through, which is tough. It's tough to make money in soccer, so completely normal overseas. That's why you see so many, Saudi billionaires that own teams and things like that. But, to their credit, they overcame that. But, now, our hope is, a guy grows up in Amherst, goes and plays at, let's say, Ohio State, St. Ignatius, something like that, does some summers in Lorain County, and then, goes and plays in Scotland, and we get to watch him, on a Saturday morning at 6 a.m. So, yeah, so that is our relationship with them, and we're just continuing to expand it. I believe we're the Orange County out in LA has a deal with Rangers. But no one else. We are the second team to kind of make that deal.
Celtic and Rangers today. I saw that on CBS Sports. I know that was obviously a big one. Drew is much better versed in the pyramid of soccer here in the United States than I am. So, I mean, he certainly has a better grasp on these things. Got to give credit where credit is due. I should ask, will you be serving haggis at the concession stands in an homage to Scotland?
No, we capped it at the bagpipers.
Ah, okay, good. I think that's good.
And beer. We actually brought, 5 or 6 players over to my house to kind of do this video back and forth, and they were all worried they were going to have to eat haggis. And I think the most disgusting thing was like a deep fried Mars bar, which is probably not really that awful.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good stuff right there.
And some kind of weird orange soda that they like that kind of tastes like orange NyQuil. But hey,
that's interesting. That's
as long as it doesn't put you to sleep.
Right.
It may very well do that. Yeah. So talk to us a little bit as the team is coming together. Again, the season opener on May 20th, the home opener on May 25th. Talk to us about the head coach, the search for the head coach, Blake New, and I guess we should call him the manager. Are we going manager or are we going coach?
We're going the gaffer.
The gaffer. Oh,
yeah,
well, I hear gaffer and I think, boy, that's a big gaff, huh? Gaffer.
When I hear gaffer, I think of that person with the big, sound system that goes on stage and
with a boom mic or kind of a deal there. Talk to us a little bit about, so people can kind of be familiar with everything. The gaffer, Blake New.
Yes. So a funny story with Blake, because I'm sure now that I've kind of submerged myself into the soccer culture, and I get tons of emails from players that want to play, and people that can do ownership better than I can, and all those different things. I sent him a cold email that said, I'm bringing a USL2 team to Lorain County, and I want you to be the gaffer. And he sent me a very polite response that it was not a great time, but thank you for thinking of him, and maybe you could talk to this guy here. So we're like, okay, and we went and we kind of found a few other people, and then about right before we were going to make a decision with another gaffer, he reached back out and he said, things have kind of changed, and really what happened was, I thought he was blowing me off, but in reality he had just had like too many coaching jobs going at the same time, and he had one free up. But he was our number 1 pick. 25 plus years of experience over at Oberlin College. So he's from the county, he lives in the county. He's played, high level collegiately, and then also played, low level professionally. So he kind of gets that gap that these players are trying to get over. So he was like the ideal fit for us. And it was just interesting that it was, originally a no, and then it became a maybe, and then it became a yes. But we got our guy that we had earmarked before we started talking to anybody else. Like that was the guy we wanted, and we ended up getting him. Great coach.
Yeah, obviously, if he had that many coaching jobs, he brings a vast amount of experience to the job. And you kind of, with all of his experience, you need that with just the extensive and expansive roster and where these players are at. I see players as young as 7. I see one player from Avon, 17 on the roster currently. And the oldest I believe I see is 20. You got a few players that are 24 years old. Just how much is the growth of soccer and being able to grab these people from the area, the talent pool that you have there?
Yeah. So, just to touch on Blake, one of his kind of biggest assets that we can't forget are his 2 assistants. So Carl Capellas, he is the president of North America for AstroTurf. So he knows every single athletic director for every college or even pro teams, across the country. So just an amazing Rolodex, and then Amir Culler, who is our goalkeeping coach, just one of those guys that also kind of just knows everybody. So I would get these texts like, you got to check this guy out in the Bahamas. You got to check this guy out from Haiti. You got to do this. And I'm like, how are we going to get these people here? But like they had already kind of scouted them, talked to the parents, talked to the coaches, knew it was talent. And it was just us, kind of getting them there. But what kind of Blake, brings to the equation is all the relationships with these high level coaches. We have players coming in from Bryant University, which is a top 10 program, University of Portland, Ohio State, all over. Xavier,
You've got a ton of them all across the state of
Right.
Ohio. You go to the University of Indiana,
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy. Yeah.
So one of the biggest things he'll have to do is kind of manage all the minutes. So we counted it. We have 25 starters. We have 11 spots, and we can roster 20. So the biggest thing he's going to do is keep these guys all in shape, keep them rotated in. But then also keep all their college or even, a kid from South Korea, who came off of a pro contract, I believe. Their teams want them back, in shape and healthy. So, a guy who's used to playing 90 minutes, maybe we play him 60, rotate another guy in for 30, keep all these guys fresh, send them back to, whatever program they were in good shape and well-trained. But, that's not a clubhouse I would want to, 25 legitimate starters, 11 spots, it's going to be tough sledding for him, but, good problem to have.
It absolutely is. I'm sure it's going to be very, very competitive all season long. And obviously with two teams in very close proximity, there's a lot of talent. You're fighting for the talent.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We're not, I'm not sure how well liked we are by, Cleveland and Akron right now because, we were plucking people out, before they could get a hold of them. Akron's done a great job of really kind of locking down the University of Akron, which is another top 10 program. So they've got like 7 or 8 players there. But a lot of players that, Force or Erie or Buffalo wanted, chose us. Some of these guys have played for Buffalo in previous seasons. Now they're coming to us. We've really done a good job, even pulling out of like Flint City, which is a huge program in the USL2. We got one of their center backs who actually gets off the train in Elyria at 3:27 a.m. So everyone pray for him because he also doesn't speak English. So
oh boy, man. Hey, this is fun.
It's the international language of Uber, so he'll be fine.
I guess the good thing now is technology is catching up and makes it so much easier if you have to travel somewhere with being able to have programs or devices that can do translating for you. Thank goodness for that sort of thing. I haven't traveled internationally, so I can't speak to the efficacy of these things.
Right.
But it's something that's there. And I know this is not in the present, but I believe I've either read or heard you talk about there's you're looking to add a women's team in 2027, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. So we'll have a big announcement, for some stuff that we're actually going to do, at the stadium prior to one of the games. I'm sure you could piece it all together, but some other games that were going to take place have been relocated, to our stadium prior to the men's game, which may be the verge of an announcement for something that's coming next year. But, that's, one of those things where you've got to do and not just talk, so if we're all about the county and we're all about development and we want to bring in the best players across the country, but we also want to expose our younger players to what professional soccer looks like, we better do it for both men and for women. We obviously have a tremendous support base built in, which allows us to be a lot more confident in launching a second team because you're doubling the expenses, but maybe not doubling the ticket revenue. So, we got to make sure that, we do it the right way. And it ends up being something that, we can keep both teams for 25, 35, 40 years or until, somebody else comes and takes it away from us. So.
Yeah, I know you're I've seen the diagram on the social media post for the layout of the pitch. And I was talking to Drew and Mike and I were talking about it. And so, yeah, right there. Great. Thank you for the graphic, Mike. But so that's going to run basically from the right field line or the first base line of the baseball diamond all the way out to left field, the left field wall there. And what kind of will that, I guess, is the surface currently like a field turf, and will the soccer pitch be a field turf, or could you talk to the fans about that? I know that that's been an issue for the upcoming World Cup, where they said, no, you cannot have turf. You're going to have grass.
Yeah. So in USL2, I think this will be second to Pittsburgh Riverhounds, who play at Highmark Stadium, where professional stadium. This will probably be the second or third best stadium in the country. For a few reasons. The turf's only 2 years old. It's brand new turf. It's beautiful. The mound comes out. There's turf underneath it, but the infield dirt is nothing more than just turf that's
brown. Yep.
Right. So you don't have that kind of Oakland Raiders football team from the 90s look where you're kind of like breaking into a baseball field. And for the most part, with the exception of like the 30-yard line area, between the where the infield grass colored turf, it's going to be a very clean field. Most USL2 teams play on collegiate fields that are marked for like football or field hockey or things like that, and it actually becomes a very cluttered, not pure green view. Ours is actually going to be a very clear pitch, and then you can see those seats behind the goal. The seats I just opened up, on the left field wall there for like $9. So because I understood the cost of gas is just astronomical. I mean, you're going to be literally standing on top of the goalie in that little Nordson section over there. That's going to be an amazing seat. And then, all those sections right there. I mean, you're so close to the field. It's really going to be an immersive experience. And if you quoted those tickets, any ticket in that park, at Columbus Crew, you'd be $150, $200, and World Cup, I don't know, maybe $150,000, for seats that close. So, we're starting at $9, we tap out at $18. So we really wanted to make sure that, once again, more than just kind of saying things, that we were actually doing things, and, we were able to make it affordable for any family that wants to come. So.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing. I know that is kind of a staple, a motto or a model of how they want to run things. At least Drew and I, with the Cleveland Crunch, I know that Ryan Ruiz and Luciano Rashido and such, with them even going back to the Wolstein Center, they want to make it family friendly and affordable. And with that in mind, obviously we just got the announcement recently for City Cleveland, which is going to be in the MLS Next league, and now Cleveland Astra, which will be part of the WPSL Pro, which will be basically Division II, one below the NWSL. And then, of course, the Cleveland, again, indoor soccer Cleveland Crunch, as well as the other USL teams. I mean, how much can you build on that momentum? How do you guys work in tandem to build each other's support up?
I mean, I think that's probably the most amazing thing. Ryan, Lucci, the folks over from Cleveland Pro Soccer, Adriana from the Crunch is actually working for the Leviathan. Our broadcaster, Munch, is also the broadcaster for the Crunch. So what we've done is we actually just sat down as adult human beings, and we realized that the Crunch schedule is like January-ish to March. Ours is May to July, and a hypothetical MLS Next Pro schedule with the revised calendar is July, to March or something like that. But they take a break for January and February. So there's literally no time that we're ever competing against each other for fans. But what we could do is actually work together to keep soccer year round, where you're actually, following, maybe your favorite player, like a Tomas Nagy, who's a great player for the Crunch. He's going to be playing on the Leviathan. He's probably good enough to play MLS Next Pro or even higher than that. So he's one of those guys where, and I've talked to Cleveland Pro Soccer about this, like, hey, you're going to have the 10 or 11 guys and gals that you recruit nationwide to play on your team. But why not use Lorain County as an extended preseason kind of ultimate combine? where you give us 4 or 5 players that you want to see how they really, perform out on the field, and then, take them back at the end of the summer and put them on your roster. So that's going to help us with our recruiting. We're going to be able to bring in, higher level talent from across the country, because we can say, hey, you want to play pro, you want to play at the next level. We literally have a team, that is right down the street, that is coming to our games and viewing players. And, it's the ultimate opportunity, because it takes a combination of talent, but then it also takes kind of that opportunity to be kind of like found and seen. I think we've seen plenty of NFL players, basketball players that like just, we hear the guy's a 2nd-round draft pick, but he played for 2 years, because he just didn't have the opportunity, to be seen and things like that. Or even the Browns, an undrafted free agent. So you just got to get that opportunity. So that's kind of what the crunch in Cleveland Pro Soccer allows us to do, is kind of just make sure that someone gets an opportunity to be seen.
That's just fantastic. Again, that answers so many questions I was wondering about. And again, as you said, you're not competing with one another for the entertainment dollars, for your leisure spending amongst families, and or at the same time you're like, oh well, I want to go to this one, but I can't go because I got to go to this, and I really want to. They can be there year round. That's absolutely absolutely amazing how you have been able to work along with all of that. With all that in mind, again, you're going to have some teams in close proximity, and so Drew, I know that I'll hand it over to you to you can talk to Andrew about kind of some of these other things that are coming up.
Yeah, when it comes to some of the things, obviously we talked about affordability. I've spoken to you about this, during the Greenies event. You talked about $9 tickets in the outfield, essentially. You talked about, $18 cap. What other, packages and, other things that these people can get to get into these games? Because obviously, your big thing was affordability. Gas is almost $5. Mm-hmm. At this point, I could go to, a Lake County Captains game for $5 rather than pay for gas. So what's affordability mean to you, and how to get these people in these seats, and what other packages do you have?
Yeah, so we don't really have any what kind of extended packages. We have our season tickets, which come to about $10 a game. So we have a premium season ticket, which just gets you a replica jersey. We have our fan-friendly season ticket, which is $10 a game. Actually, a little bit less because we just added a 7th game, in there. And then we have like our standing room, ticket for $8 out in the outfield. So those are kind of the promotions that we offer. But we've one of the other things that kind of I think kind of makes the ticket free, if I could say it the right way, is that through our partnership with the Ford Motor Company and the Avon Assembly Plant, we actually have a 3-day camp that's completely free. Wow. For season ticket holders or any family that really is in need, of a little bit of help this summer to get their kids into a camp. So if you're looking at going to a camp and it's going to be $150 to $200, instead you get a season ticket with us, it's $60, and your kid gets to go to camp for 3 days. It's kind of paying for itself. So there's some trade-offs there, where you pick up like that free camp and it kind of offsets it, and allows you to do some things. But our camp is we've got different links out there to sign up. If you're any family and you're just like, hey, the air conditioning went and I needed to fill up my tank, and the credit card bill came all in the same month, come to our camp. We want kids to get the best exposure they can, and we understand that even the most hardest working families are getting kind of blindsided right now. So we're going to make sure that doesn't stop anyone from having a great summer.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I would always look at these camps and, I wanted to attend these camps, and it's like, oh, you want to go to this camp? Okay, cool. You got $250. It's $300 to attend. And it's like, well, I went to probably one of the worst soccer high schools you could probably gone to in Akron and all this and that. So it's like, I can't afford to go to these camps, but I just wanted to be seen. So, I kind of wish we had something like this when I was a kid. So it's like, that's the biggest thing in inner city communities and stuff like that, is the opportunity to be seen, because I'm a firm believer in the soccer verse and American soccer. A lot of these kids in these inner cities go unseen, and that have so much talent, so much potential, and so much they can give. But affordability is such a massive issue, because to play for a local club team, it's thousands of dollars a year just to even play. And it's like, who's going to be able to afford that? So just being able to just attend some, a nice camp like this, for free. And, it makes it so much easier for people to get seen and kids to get seen, because that's potential talent that could be the next U.S. men's national team captain, or, somebody who can be a World Cup player. So it makes me happy to finally see something be affordable and, actually kids being able to get the opportunity to be seen.
Yeah. And actually, it's interesting you bring that up, because I've got to do a better job of getting this out there. But there's so many programs, corporate programs, local programs, veterans programs that actually have physical dollars that they can give families for camps. And not saying like giving us a free camp, but actually going to a camp that might be put on by Upper 90 or North or Challenger or any of the big programs. I don't mention Force because they're the enemy. But, there actually are, organizations out there that have contacted me and said, hey, if you know a family that's got a player that's, really got potential, but, just times are tough, we actually have dollars that can pay their tuition for these things. And who knew those things even existed? You'd always think of it for, school and things like that, but you wouldn't think of it for summer camps and soccer, programs. But there actually are dollars out there. So for any of those people that are listening, email me at lorainusl2@gmail.com, and I can connect you to some different folks that can help you out if you want to get your kids involved. So
that is fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. Oh, and I don't want to forget this, but again, I want to just let everyone know you are tuned into the inaugural edition, the premiere of the Lair, your official Lorain County Leviathan FC podcast on the Land Multimedia Group. We are proudly sponsored and brought to you by Dick's House of Sport in Strongsville. Drew, continue on, sir.
Yeah, so I know you need to spoke about the Orange Barrel Cup a little bit ago, with the competition with Cleveland Forest, Akron City. Is there going to be something like a coveted trophy for this, like how Akron and Kent State have the wagon wheel, or the Browns and the Lions have the Great Lakes Classic Barge Trophy? Is there going to be like going to the highway and stealing a cone, and whoever wins gets the coveted cone?
We have the coveted orange barrel from the highway that was purchased legally in the garage of the Akron City owner. So yes, we will. I don't think we're going to bronze it, because the price of bronze these days is a little, but we're going to take this orange barrel and we're going to, class it up a little. And then we're going to kind of go, Stanley Cup trophy, where you kind of write the names in.
Ooh.
Stanley Cup, is it a trophy, or I don't know, not a hockey person. Yeah, but we're going to add the names every year, to that. And, speaking of kind of just going back to your last kind of question, Dick's House of Sport, the Lorain County Leviathan, Akron City, Cleveland Pro Soccer, and Dick's House of Sport are all teaming up for kind of a summer World Cup tour that will include some futsal tournaments, not only the ones that Cleveland Pro Soccer puts on downtown, but also some at Dick's House of Sports in Strongsville, kind of like a qualifying round. So once again, kind of, that whole kind of pyramid of, Lorain County Leviathan, Cleveland Pro Soccer, and then, a sponsor like Dick's House of Sport, coming together. We're all working together to kind of get, opportunities out there for, programs and things like that. So when your logo popped up there, I had forgot about that. We were teaming up with them on some activities. So
yeah, Dick's House of Sport. It's not just a store; it's a destination.
Yeah. Honestly, it's kind of like a little bit of like a Universal Studios for
for athletes.
Athletes, yeah.
It really is. No, it really. And I'll tell you what, the Orange Barrel is in fact the symbol of Ohio. I came to Ohio a couple of months ago, or very early April for my birthday. And I drove up. My brother's down in Columbus, and as soon as I crossed into Ohio, there were traffic cones. There was construction. I was like, I'm home. I am home. So, yeah, that is fantastic. I love the Orange Barrel idea, and that is certainly something to get the fans into it and really bring them in. I'm sure that you guys, again, this is going to be a fun season coming up here at Forefront Field.
Yeah, it really is. And, we've seen one promotion that you guys have already with the Ted Lasso night. I believe that is July 6th versus Erie Sports Center. Is there any other promotions that you guys have or that you can, announce that are coming up to during the season?
Yeah, we don't have a date set, but with our relationship with Inverness, they are planning on coming over for a game. So whatever game that ends up being will be, Scottish night. I have talked to Arrivo about a kilted short, for the players to wear, that looks like a kilt, isn't actually a kilt.
It's a skort. Is it a skort?
It's a skort, yes.
Yes. Perfect.
Yes, a kilted skort for the game. So we will have a Scottish night. We will have Ted Lasso night, a new season of Ted Lasso coming out this summer. Check out Apple TV in your local listings. Sorry, I get paid to do that.
Hey, that's fine. I get paid to call. Come on down to Dick's House of Sport in Strongsville. It's not just a store; it's a destination.
So we have Ted Lasso night, which is just going to be fun. We don't really have any affiliation with them, but give out some mustaches, have some Believe signs, and put some funny outfits on there. But that's the advantage of minor league, soccer, minor league baseball, is that you can just have creativity, you can have fun with it. Obviously, we're there to win. We're there to get these players noticed. But we also have, a duty to the community to, provide some fun, provide some entertainment. So it's a combination of all those things. We've got bagpipers. We've got a pregame show brought to you by the R.W. Beckett Corporation, which is just going to be a really fun event. But we'll have, a whole bunch of different kind of local vendors, out at the games, sharing people what they do. Our photographers are both, two local guys. We're really excited to, give opportunities. We talked about to national anthem singers. Anybody who wants to get out there and, give it a whirl in front of 3,000 people, hopefully, you never know. So everything we do, we see as an opportunity, for somebody in a different line of work, whether you're, a guy who manufactures beer. We've got our new Leviathan Port of Lorain lager that's coming out.
Oh, excellent choice.
Yes. We're here to give as many opportunities as we can and really, go beyond just the pitch with what we're doing.
Wow. It's okay. So one suggestion and then one other question. One is, as a person of a certain age who grew up watching The Simpsons, I'd like to suggest a Groundskeeper Willie night.
Okay.
I think you need to have Groundskeeper Willie. If you're going with a Scottish theme, Groundskeeper Willie absolutely has to be there.
We'll have him in the crowd next to Crusher or Stomper, whatever his name is.
Oh, that's good. That is definitely good. Then the other question, and you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. You talked about Mark Munch Bishop, who has been a long timer, well known in Cleveland sports radio. He works with Kevin Arnold on Rock Entertainment, doing the and John Luca on the Cleveland Crunch games. But can you tell everybody where they can follow along, watch the games live if they can't, if it's a road game or it's a home game they can't get out to? I know you mentioned Apple TV. Are we going to be on Apple TV?
We are not going to be on Apple TV. We do have a production deal with Rock Entertainment Sports, RESN. And then the league has a streaming sports engine Can't believe I'm not sure if it's NBC or CBS Sports Engine. But we have a beautiful broadcast team. Gianluca is our play-by-play. Munch is kind of Munch, just doing his Munch thing. But kind of going back a little bit, when we talk about opportunities, apparently Gianluca is like seriously the next like Bob Costas is what they tell me. Like he's really just got quite a future ahead of him. So we're excited to have him call our games. But we will have a streaming, and then we'll have Rock Entertainment Sports. Unfortunately, it's our understanding, and it makes total sense that based on the times of our games and the times that the Columbus Clippers, you might have to watch us on tape delay or something like that. But
right, unless you're watching, I guess, on the streaming, the stream will be there and the other stuff. So that's our, but if they're able to watch a stream and get your broadcasters and get Munch and Gianluca, that's fantastic. I know that we really enjoyed and benefited from having Kevin Arnold and Gianluca and Munch when he was at the Crunch games. It was such a professional operation that a lot of other organizations didn't have.
Right.
And so Northeast Ohio has been very, very fortunate to have the types of broadcasters that we have had growing up there and listening to all the greats, and they continue on. So this is obviously, like you said, a fantastic opportunity here with Gianluca and Munch. I know Munch, he harkens back to the 90s. What is it? Andres Cantor and his goal call. He really enjoys that. I picked up on that. Well, that is fantastic. So there's a lot of great stuff that is going to be coming out. Again, the season opener, folks, is May 20th. It's at Steel City FC. Boo. And then the Lorain County Leviathan will be at home May 25th, Memorial Day, to take on FC Buffalo at 3 p.m. Their tickets are still available for the opener.
They're starting to. It's starting to become a little bit of a, hey, you might miss out on it. I mean, you're safe today, but every morning we get our download, and it's astronomical how many seats are going. And if you really want that desirable, I mean, the three most desirable sections are probably 90% sold out. And then, it gets a little bit more 50-50 in some of the other sections. So there's still some amazing seats. And then there's still plenty of good seats out there. But it is starting to become a little bit of a, FOMO. If I'm being completely honest, you might end up, not getting what you want. So
hey, you definitely don't want to have the FOMO there. What is the capacity? I know you mentioned hopefully 3,000. Based upon the current configuration, what would you anticipate the capacity being for a crowd?
About 3,000. So you kind of lose the right field line. The last two sections are not really the best seats. They're kind of behind where the team would be standing. But when you open up the left field kind of berm, you kind of replace that. So, at Crusher Stadium, there's 3,000 in the bowl, so to speak. Total, I think, is about 5,000 that you can fit capacity. So I think 3,000 is our legitimate number, where you eliminate a section or two out in right field, but you replace it with being able to stand over the touch line in the behind the goal in left field. So 3,000. I think we'll be probably in that 2,000 to 3,000 range, all said and done. I think the opener could sell out. And I think like the Akron City, I know two youth organizations are bringing over 1,000 people to the June 3rd Cleveland game, plus our 800 season ticket holders. So you can start to see how, hey, with over a month to go, we're already 70%, sold. And such a tight, beautiful space in there. I got a little Trumpy there for a second. It's really gonna be a nice environment, tremendous environment.
It'd be best. It'd be tremendous, big league. That is fantastic. I've seen the numbers on the Facebook post. Again, everybody, be sure to follow along. You can see on the scroll down at the bottom of the screen, Lorain County Leviathan FC.com. Go check out everything there on the social media, on Facebook. You'll find things on Twitter as well. All the social media spaces. Please check it out. There are so many great videos, as we talked about early on, with the players just introducing themselves. Get to know these guys, because you get to know them, you connect with them, you connect with the team. Now, are you going to leave it up to the fans to come up with chants, or are you gonna plant people to try and come up with awesome chants? I mean, not everything can be, like come on, you Spurs, or
Right.
being a yid. Thing I like is being a yid if you're a Spurs fan. But no, are you gonna plant anybody? Any ideas there?
No, okay. So I was gonna plant someone. I really was. I was gonna do that, and then I pulled an Andrew. And I sent an email to 4,000 people that signed up for our email without BCCing. And yes, as any good person who gets blinded on an email, they started replying all to all 4,000 people. Where am I going with this? We had 19 people unsubscribe. Actually, we did pretty well on that. But because of that, a Discord channel was formed to stop the reply all emails by someone who was on the reply all email. This Discord channel has kind of taken off, and I see them coming up with their own chants. So by mistakenly emailing every single person in the, without blindly copying them, we got our chants formed.
All right. I like it. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah. Take those emails and throw them out the gate.
I don't know. What's they've got something about the abyss and dragging other teams into the abyss. I've stayed out of it because I like the way it's going on its own. But I originally was going to try to stir the pot, and then instead I just sent an email to everybody and it took care of itself.
So I understand that there is a parade on opening day. Is there? Talk to us about that.
Well, there should be a parade before every game.
Fantastic. Even better.
So our plan is we've teamed up with Cameo, which is a pizza place bar that's within the T3 Center, which is probably a quarter of a mile away from the gate of the stadium. So we will open that up for Leviathan beer drinkers and families. And that's where our bagpipers will meet us at 2:00. So the pipes will be marching from Cameo to the stadium, and all of those folks that want to, either watch the parade or jump in the parade or bring out some smoke or a flag or scarf are welcome to join us. But we are planning for that to be our tradition. So we'll hopefully it goes well. But already a lot of people once again kind of planning for that. The different soccer clubs, throughout Lorain County, are planning on, attending that parade. So, it should be pretty entertaining. Anyway, anytime you have a bagpiper, you're going to get a crowd. So.
Heck yeah. That is just amazing. I think that's going to be fun. Now, let's just not have any Scottish soccer hooligans, okay? We've all heard about that. We're going to have to avoid those types of things, right? With all the lagers and the...
Yeah, and that's why it's a 4.2% beer. So
excellent choice. Oh, that's an excellent choice. I like that.
Had it been a Kentucky bourbon ale, I mean, I might be out there.
You'll be out there. You'll have lost the kilt. It will be no good. It would just not be a good scene.
Yeah, so I'll be the ex-chairman rather quickly. So,
oh my gosh. Well, we have covered a lot of ground here, and really appreciate all the time that you have spent with us. And we are so very much looking forward to this season and being able to cover this for all the folks out there who are fans of Leviathan and soccer in the area, because it needs a voice. We want to be the voice for all of this, and to let everyone know what is going on and how awesome of an experience they can have coming out to Leviathan games and just supporting all of the areas. Again, folks, season opener May 20th on the road. The home opener, May 25th, Memorial Day. What better way to spend Memorial Day than come on out to Forefront Field to check out Leviathan as they take on FC Buffalo at 3 p.m., but get your tickets. Do not wait as they are moving quickly. Andrew, I want to thank you very, very much for being with us here this evening for the premiere of the Lair. This has been absolutely fantastic. And before we close it out, I also want to thank our man, Mike Wilkes, behind the scenes, putting up all the graphics and putting all of this together. And so he's very much appreciated. And again, the Lair part of the Land Multimedia Group brought to you by Dick's House of Sport. Check them out in Strongsville. So again, Andrew, thank you very much for being here. Really appreciate it and look forward to speaking with you again as the season rolls on.
Yes, and I want to thank Drew for being here, and Ethan, thank you for bringing us on. And we had a great meeting tonight with the team. Guys coming in from the airport. We met her at the stadium, and they're probably watching now. But I know many of them will be very excited to come on this broadcast with you.
Absolutely,
and maybe have a little panel discussion with them, and then obviously Coach New. So anything you need from us, just reach out.
Oh, that is fantastic. Again, thank you very, very
thank you
much.
so much.
Yes, absolutely. So that is going to do it here for the premiere of The Lair, the official podcast of your Lorain County Leviathan FC squad. For Andrew McDonnell, our guest, the chairman and one of the owners of Lorain County Leviathan FC, and for Drew Hagenbaugh, as well as our producer, Mike Wilkes, behind the scenes, I'm Ethan Greenberg. You've been tuned in to The Lair, a Lorain County Leviathan FC podcast here on the Land Multimedia Group.